Fair to say that it's been a pretty tough start to life at Manchester United for Ruben Amorim. 11 games played as of recording, with 4 wins, 1 draw and 6 losses for them, leaving Manchester United closer to the relegation zone than ever in 14th in January. Now, I don't know how we've managed to do it, but we got the drippiest manager ever so stressed that he's even creasing his shoes. Now, let's not get anything twisted. I think Ruben Amorim is an incredible manager and was one of my candidates to replace Erik ten Hag. And if you know me personally, you know how much I enjoyed seeing Erik ten Hag get sacked. And to a certain extent, he's come into the club and brought in a new feeling, a refreshing feeling, if anything. He's a really great speaker and knows how to handle himself in press conferences, and also has a great record at Sporting to fall back on. Right now, we're not winning any games, players aren't playing well, and fixtures are coming in quicker than ever. So what does Amorim do to steady the ship and buy some more time for him at Manchester United? Let's just call it the Ruben Amorim dilemma. Now, do I think Ruben Amorim is perfect? I mean, yes, look at his beard, it's pretty much perfect. But from a footballing perspective, what he's done at Manchester United, do I think is perfect? Not really. But before we get into what he's done, I just want to discuss things that are pretty much out of his control. I think that Ruben Amorim should have been hired at the start of the season. I think getting Erik ten Hag a new contract and having him go through a whole summer window and continuing into this season was a mistake by Ineos. There were multiple times where Erik ten Hag could have gotten sacked. He could have been sacked after the 7-0. He could have been sacked after we finished bottom of the Champions League. He could have been sacked a lot of times. And I think the other perfect time for him to get sacked was before the FA Cup final or even after the FA Cup final. And now that leaves Ruben Amorim with a big problem, seeing that he's coming in the middle of the season and trying to implement a lot of things, which is really difficult, seeing that he didn't have a preseason, he didn't have a chance to get his own signings in, and it's really difficult to implement a style that Ruben Amorim is currently playing. From a whatever style Erik ten Hag was playing to the back three that Ruben Amorim plays. It would have been much easier for Ruben Amorim to implement his style at the start of the preseason, get players familiar with what he wants to do with the team, and also get some players, some profiles that he wants into his team, which would at least give Ruben Amorim an idea of how the season would go. But now he's been thrown in the middle of the season with a lot of fixtures coming in, especially in the November-December period where a lot of fixtures are coming in, and we faced a lot of big teams like Liverpool, City, Arsenal, as well as Tottenham Hotspurs about twice, I think. And even in this short period of time, Ruben Amorim has actually got these players understanding the system and playing to a certain degree. I think we should have beaten Arsenal when we played them away from home. And that is pretty much the story that goes in for the rest of the games that we had under Amorim. We played very well, but we can't finish our chances, and we eventually lose the game. And that shows the type of quality we have in the squad currently, which leads us to the discussion of the players that we have currently at the club. Now, I think it's fair to say that this is the worst Manchester United squad I've ever seen, and a lot of people will agree with me in that sentiment. For Amorim to work with this system, I think he needs better players in terms of quality, because we don't have the end product or just the technical ability to work with Ruben Amorim's system. Compared to the players that Ruben Amorim had at his disposal at Sporting, he had Diomande, he had Francesco Trincao, he had Pedro Goncalves, he had Gyökeres as well. And you come here to Manchester United and it's way different. Of course, the squad was built by another manager, and obviously Amorim would have to inherit the squad. But then again, for example, when Lampard got sacked for Chelsea and Thomas Tuchel came in, didn't really have a lot of signings to make and still managed to take them to Champions League glory. I think they were 11th or something by the time he came in, and they won the Champions League from that. But when Erik ten Hag inherited his team, I could say that team was way better than the team that we have currently. They had a Pogba, Rafael Varane, Jadon Sancho, a Cristiano Ronaldo at their disposal, and many more, compared to what he's left Ruben Amorim with. Now, I tried to predict the players that Amorim would be using going forward, and I divided it into 3 different categories. The safe side, which is the players that he's definitely going to use throughout the season. The kind of weird side, which is not really sure on whether he'll use them or not, and the danger zone, which is the side where Ruben Amorim will totally not use these guys and will probably sell in the summer as well. Okay, while editing, I just realized that throughout this player section, I yapped for a long time, and I'm not going to edit all that, right? Editing is already a problem, so I'm just going to run through them real quick. And the safe side, obviously, we're going to have Onana, Yoro, Matthijs de Ligt, we have Lisandro Martinez, Diogo Dalot, Maguire, Mazraoui, Kobe Mainu, Manuel Ugarte, Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes, Amad Diallo, and Rasmus Højlund. Then we go to the kind of weird side where we have Garnacho, Johnny Evans, Tom Heaton, Christian Eriksen, Luke Shaw, and Malacia. The Garnacho one really is because he doesn't really fit the system in the 10 and also doesn't really play well on the wings. So it's kind of weird to see where he plays. That's why he's in the weird side. And then we look at the danger side where we have Victor Lindelof and Anthony Rashford, who is probably going to leave anytime soon. Casemiro also has links with Saudi Arabia, so he could be moving anytime soon as well. We have Joshua Zirkzee, also someone who I like personally, but a lot of people want him out of the club as well. I think it's kind of unfair, but he might leave as well. And then we have Bayern Dier, who isn't a goalkeeper, so let's get him out of the club. That is it. I yapped for about 4 minutes on this thing. Let's get back to the video. Now, those are basically things that are out of his control, but that leads us to the question, what does Ruben Amorim need to do? Now, obviously, I said at the start of the video that I don't think Ruben Amorim has been perfect so far as Manchester United boss, and I have a lot of criticisms to come his way, and one of those being the constant rotation of the team. It would have made sense to keep rotating the team at the start of his reign, obviously, to find and see how the players gel in his system, to see how different players gel in his system as well, and to see what works and what doesn't work. I think he did that with Ipswich, and then we went to Everton as well, and then Arsenal. There were different players, and it would have made sense seeing that he's trying to find what works and what doesn't. But throughout his reign so far, it's been a different team for every game. Same formation, yes, but it's been different players in the system. One time it's wingers playing at wingback, one time it's fullbacks playing at wingback, and we don't have the consistent players playing in the front three basically. The 2 10s are always switched up. The strikers are also always switched up. One striker plays one game and the other striker plays another game. It's never something consistent. In the games that we did score, wingers were playing as fullbacks, and the games that we didn't score, our fullbacks were playing as wingbacks. One game Ahmad is playing in the 10, the other game Ahmad is playing at wingback. One game Bruno is playing at the 8, and then he's playing at the 10 in another game. It's never consistent. And even in the last game that we played, I think it was against Newcastle, Zirkzee played in the 10, but he's a striker as well. He can play in the 10, yes, but I'd rather see him as a striker, and also got subbed off early into the game because he was playing in a different position. I think if we can start having a consistent team throughout maybe 4, 5, 6 games, and then averaging maybe at least 1 or 2 changes throughout the games, we can start to have a consistent performance and players start to recognize specific plays and all these things, and it gets better eventually. And that's one of the criticisms that I have for Ruben Amorim. And obviously there are other things that he can do to improve the team, maybe tweaking the system just a bit to help him get towards the end of the season. Because he did already say in a press conference that he wasn't going to stray away from his 3-4-3 formation, which makes sense. I don't think he should. I think something that he needs to understand is that he still has a very subpar team that won't really react well to his system, and it's not going to work in the long run, trying to keep him in the job until the summer. Am I saying change the system as a whole? No. I think coming in with your own system is incredible, and I think he should keep that. I think he should just adjust it a bit and try get the best out of the players that he currently has, and try survive the season, get us in a good position for next season. And I think when he has that summer, finally he can improve on the quality of the players and use the squad to the best of his abilities. But for now, we sit in January, and I think he should delve into the transfer window. And now the thing about the January transfer window is not a lot of big signings happen in the January transfer window. It's not a lot of movement that happens in the January transfer window. I think the last signings we've made in January were probably Wout Weghorst, Sabitz as well. And then I think before that was Odion Igalo. We don't really make big signings in January. It's probably like utility players or to help with the squad. So don't really expect big players to already sign for Manchester United. I don't think will happen. But I think a position that we could at least improve is at wingback. I think there are a lot of underrated players that we could sign in January. My opinion doesn't really matter. So it only depends on what Ruben Amorim has or what the board has in mind for the wingback position. If we can improve that, at least get the team scoring goals again, creating chances for the strikers that we have currently. And at least with these changes, I know that Ruben Amorim will finish well in this season and hopefully still stay by the summer, because hey, the results we're getting right now. And who do we have next? Liverpool. Probably by the time this goes out, we've probably lost to them. So we'll see in the edits. Well, we've made it to the end of the video. I hope you really enjoyed this one. I have a question for you guys. What do you think Ruben Amorim should do? What should he improve? Anything that you have in mind, the comment section is always open down below. But then again, if you're new around here, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. I know you will enjoy this one, and I'll see you on the next video. It's been me, Tentin Alpha. Peace.